Lutz, very, very warm welcome to Aberdeen Football Club. How does it feel to finally be here?
Yeah, great. It was a bit of a waiting time with the visa and everything, and obviously being here before, looking at the club, getting to know the people earlier on before the decision was made. Great finally to start, and definitely a new chapter.
You come here with an incredible CV, and we'll talk about some of your footballing experiences in a minute. So I must start with asking you, why Aberdeen? What was it that appealed to come here?
So I'm a football romantic. So for me, looking back in my youth, I was a big fan of Jim Leighton. So I really liked him. So I always had Aberdeen somehow on my radar. And having also played against David Beckham, having played against Man United, being very, very good friends with Phil Neville, I think the Sir Alex connection was always something which is connected to Aberdeen, and I think probably everybody you ask about Aberdeen will say that anyway. But for me also, working for a traditional club, a club with a long history, a club with a lot of achievements in the past, with also where the expectations are pretty high, is something really challenging. And I thought that Aberdeen is for me like a great move. Also having a personal connection to Derek Ray, which I worked together a lot on TV. He put close to 10 years ago, he put Aberdeen into my head. I never got it out since then. And I probably watched I probably watched 100 games in the last maybe 10, 15 years.
The next question is going to be, how much do you know about Aberdeen? But so obviously quite a lot.
I don't know much about the town, to be honest. Just what I saw when I was here. I also watched the Frankfurt game 2 years ago, and so I'm not really that familiar with the city, but I'm pretty familiar with the players and with the club.
It's a historic day for the club, our first ever sporting director. I think it's maybe important to the fans just to explain what a sporting director does. What is your remit here?
Yeah, I think most important, I'm not a magician. I'm not David Copperfield. I'm not coming here, clapping in my hands, and suddenly the goals will come and the wins will come immediately. So my position is very strategic. So it's not just the first team. I think players' development, really looking into the academy football, get the best out of the top talents to create the market, but also get them into the first team is a very big thing. I think Aberdeen have a unique opportunity being up here pretty much with a very big area where you can pick players from, where kind of the culture I think can make a big difference. I'm also a big community guy. For me it's not just the shiny product of the first team which is important. It's much more than just that. But overall, a sporting director is also measured on winning games, winning titles, getting good results, and I think that's something when it comes to transfers, when it comes to transfer windows, when it comes to signing new players, letting players go. It's important to have a very good relationship with the manager. So I think it's always, as an example, if I like a player but the manager doesn't like him at all, then the communication needs to be clear. There's no point if one person likes him and you bring the player in because it's not good for anybody. I think it needs to be a good teamwork to do that together with the manager and the coaching staff. But overall, as I said, very strategic, looking just not for, of course, you want to have a short-term impact. And sometimes the presence, talking to players, being around can have that little impact. But overall, I think, for me, the medium term and the long term is much more important. Where we're going to be in 1 year from now and where we're going to be in 3 years from now, I think that's where I have to look at in the next few weeks and make a plan, have a strategy and move forward.
Vince, but the other thing with a sporting director in Germany is their very public-facing role, isn't it? Is that something that you'll bring to Aberdeen? Will we see you out there quite a lot and doing press activities, that type of thing? Well,
I'm used to it in that way, so I will be probably a bit more out and about than other sporting directors that are football here. In Germany, the sporting director usually sits on the bench, not to have influence on the game, but just to be closer and get the feeling, pick up the emotions and support the manager and the coaching staff. So it's definitely a bit of a different role. So I think you will see a little bit more from me out there than you used to. That's the way it is.
You arrive with an enormous amount of experience behind you. You've been at the sharp end of football for a very long time. Tell us a bit about your playing career to start with. You're a goalkeeper, is that right?
I was a goalkeeper and it was pretty wild, so I mean I literally played all over the show, being the only player I think who played on all 6 FIFA continents. Kind of sums it up because I played everywhere where people play football. I mean, had a really good career in the youth, playing for the German youth national team, being involved with Bayern, but sometimes you need to get a feeling where you want to be, and it was for me quite difficult or I realized pretty early that I probably won't be a top goalkeeper in Germany. I mean, I could have probably been on the bench or maybe played a few games. I played in the second league as a starter. So for me, it was always important. I wanted to play football. So instead of being in Germany and as a young guy sitting on the bench, for me, it was more interesting to be out and about and actually get valuable game experience. So that's when I started to basically be loaned here, be loaned there. I mean, I still played over 500 games, league games all over the world. Had some good times there as well, but especially looking at the after playing career, I think it just created a really thick address book of people all over the planet when it comes to having good connections and a good network in my job now. I think that really helped a lot. But I definitely had a very colourful playing career.
Lutz, you played football all over the world. Is football that different from country to country and continent to continent? And also, in that context, what do you make of Scottish football?
Oh yes, it's very different. So people won't even see that because you think it's 11 against 11 and the one who scores more goals wins the game. Well, in the end it is like that, but the football culture, the way football is celebrated on the stands, the way people look at football is very different. Also the way football is played. I mean, I played in Brazil where I expected everything is very technical, everything is a bit slow, everything is more on ball possession. And I played my first few months, I played in Rio, which was exactly the case. It was a bit of a summer football, it was crazily hot and players were more using their technical abilities. And then I moved to a club down in the south and it was like Highland League. It was really tough. People had to go at each other, people were tackling, people were fighting. So it was more a physical approach of football, which I didn't expect. So I think just the way you pick up the atmosphere in a stadium somehow reflects what the football is like in the different countries. And I think it was a great experience because talking to people now or negotiating or meeting players, agents, if you played in this country or you played in this league and you dealt with the people before, not just on a holiday level, on a short-term level, I think you have a different feeling how to approach the situation, how to talk to people, and how to get the best deal in the end of the day as well.
When you hung up the gloves, was it a natural progression to get into the sort of coaching side of things, the technical side? Was it something you always wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was for me more like being a goalkeeper coach in the start and becoming a manager. Which I did for a while, but then I had this opportunity to join Hoffenheim, first as a scout for international leagues, and then after that as a head of recruitment, and it somehow showed me that's probably put all my experiences together. That's probably where I have the best value for a club, because I make use of that what I did in the past, and I did that in Hoffenheim for 9 years. We had some really good times in this club before moving on to Düsseldorf and then to the States. So I think being on that side of the game was for me a better choice to use everything what I learned in the past better than being just a coach.
You said in previous interviews Hoffenheim was a special time and a special place for you. So tell us a wee bit about that. And I mean, ultimately they became a Champions League club, didn't they? What secrets there that you can maybe bring to Aberdeen as well?
I mean, when I joined Hoffenheim, I came in as just basically stopped playing a few years earlier, did some coaching things. Was already a coaching instructor though for FIFA and for the German FA. So it's kind of, I had to make a decision. Do I want to stay on the field actively, or do I want to work more in a strategic role? I thought that was the tough choice for me, because if you're used to it for all your life to be every day on the field, that moment comes, and somehow I got that feeling in my stomach. I need to go into this direction. Hoffenheim was a very young team. You know, it's kind of the opposite of Aberdeen. Aberdeen has a long history. Hoffenheim played in the lower leagues and then somehow got through the ranks very quickly. But the way people look at Hoffenheim internationally and especially in Germany is just completely wrong, because yes, it's a new club, but the culture we created, where youth development and being a good group was always the main priority. You know, recruitment for us in South America, especially in Brazil, was a big success. So one of the first players I was able to work with was Roberto Firmino, for example, which coincidentally played in the same area where I played as a player in Brazil. And I saw him when he was like 15 years old. Was that really slender kid, you know, with very white teeth and not a very big physical presence, but there was something about him. And when he was offered by an agent, I was like, yeah, that's the kid I saw before. Went down there and the rest is history. He had a great impact in Hoffenheim, needed a bit of time, and getting sold to Liverpool for a decent amount of money and becoming, for me still, in the time of Jürgen Klopp, the most important player on the field. Like everybody spoke about Salah, everybody spoke about the goal scorers in the end of the day. But for me, Firmino was the guy who had the most impact, because he didn't play just like a Brazilian. He played more like a German, very disciplined, very hardworking, with a very, very clear way of what he wants to do on the field. And I think that's the diamonds or the gems you need to find somewhere. Same as Joe Linton, which is not too far. He doesn't play that far from here, right? In Newcastle, so it's just around the corner somehow. So that was always, the recruitment standpoint was always very important, to find the right guys.
You must be very proud when you see those guys and what they've gone on and done, that you're the one that discovered them.
You know, with Joe Linton, it was interesting, because when he came to Germany, it didn't work out in the start. We loaned him to Austria for 2 years, and when he came back, it was again a 50-50, with Julian Nagelsmann then being the head coach, the youngest head coach in Germany ever. And we had some injuries, and he decided to throw him in the first cup game. And I think he scored 4 goals. And from then, you know, the season just went bananas, and he scored, and he became a top player. And if you look at the way it happened in Newcastle, similar thing. The first year was not that impactful. And once he found his role, he's just an amazing player, because his engine, his physique is unmatched.
As well as players, you've also developed coaches. The German national coach, is that right? Was he a young Julian Nagelsmann? Have I pronounced that right?
Yeah, Nagelsmann.
Explain that, because he was a young coach there, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, Julian came to Hoffenheim as a youth team coach, you know, but you could feel very early on that he's different, he's special, he's unique. Just his approach, how to read the game, how to speak to players, the approach of reading the opponent's match plan within minutes was amazing already at that level. He moved up in the ranks, he won the German championship with Hoffenheim, and when the team was really on the cliff to get relegated, it was a decision that we thought, you know, let's take that shot, because he's amazing, he will get the job done. But a team which was very low in the league and kind of designated to get relegated this season, you know, I think he was more worried than anyone else. And coming in, the impact he had, I mean, I think we lost 1 game the rest of the season, played the best football in Germany, and from there, Hoffenheim just grew into a monster. Like made the EuroLeague, played 2 years later in the Champions League, literally till Nagelsmann left the club and went to Leipzig, then to Bayern Munich, and then to the German national team. What a career, and he's still very young actually right now.
Mm-hmm. Are you still in touch with him?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know, we talk.
Need a player?
We talk every few weeks. Every more like, you know, these days it's more about texting and WhatsApp and being in touch. But as I said, for me, that's the best coach I've ever seen. That's for me the ultimate coach when it comes to how to combine all the factors and just his unique approach, just the way he speaks to players and he squeezes out the bits and pieces. I mean, I just have this one example about the way he was being recognized also by the players, like Eugen Polanski, which was the captain of Hoffenheim, which was actually older than the coach, and a guy which played in Spain, he played in Germany, he played for the national teams. Within weeks, he said, that's the first coach where I always get a feeling, if I ask a question, he doesn't just have an answer, he have solution 1, solution 2, solution 3, and he makes me, even with the age of 35, a better player. And if you hear that from your captain, then you know that's the guy.
Derek Ray was telling me, when he's commentating with you in a game in Germany, it takes about half an hour to get you up into the commentary position because everybody wants to stop and speak to you. So whether it's coaches, physios, staff and all the rest of it. So again, that network you've got in Germany is going to be very useful, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously working there for so many years and then it's coming sometimes back to do a game on TV. So you run into many people you worked with or you played against. So it's always nice to shake a few hands. Sometimes it can be a bit much, but I always made it in the end of the day. So, yeah.
St. Louis, tell us a wee bit about that. I mean, starting a club from scratch cannot be easy. Tell us about some of the challenges there and how did that go?
To be honest, I worked really hard to become a sporting CEO in Germany. So when I was there in Düsseldorf, it was a very, very special job. Fortuna Düsseldorf, I would say, a club looking into the history, you can compare a little bit with Aberdeen. Also, they were in the European Cup final in the 80s. They always were a giant in Germany, but the last 30 years, not really, they didn't really play much in the highest level and didn't really live up to the expectations. Aberdeen, of course, a complete different story, always played at the top level, but I think Düsseldorf was always like a sleeping giant. And leaving that club during COVID was not easy. And then taking on a challenge in the United States was, I would say, for me, the most special job I ever had. Like coming into a city which loved football. I mean, St. Louis is crazy about football. It's traditionally the capital of soccer capital it's called, and being chosen by a great ownership, by a great club to run everything and kind of build a football club from scratch, where we build an academy, we build a community system, we build a stadium, we build a training facility, we build a first team, and that all within more or less 1.5 years. So you can imagine it was a lot of work, but to be given an opportunity, I will be thankful for the rest of my life, because I don't think many people had that opportunity in football to build something from scratch. So it was an amazing experience where I always, and St. Louis will always have a very special place in my heart.
At St. Louis, you made a point of going into the community and being very visible there, building up the youth programme and the academy team. So again, is that something we can expect to see you do in the Northeast?
100%. So I was declared crazy that when we came back at 6 a.m. from a game on the West Coast, that I would be at 9 o'clock on the ground and watch the under-15s play. But I think, today is my first day. I start my job today, but obviously I had 2 days to arrive here, and I went to a Highland League game and I watched yesterday's academy games because I just want to see what's happening. I think it's very important for a person in my role to be present at academy games. You will also see me at academy training sessions, simply because I think it's the respect we owe as a club to the parents, to the children, but also to the coaches, to see that what they do is very much appreciated, to show the parents and the players also that there is very early on a focus on academy football, a focus on development, that the youngsters from that region should be given a chance in the first team as well. So I think just being there, watching the players, talking to people, mingle, I think is a very important part for the community, for the first team, for the club, for the players, for the academy to grow together.
I saw in an interview that you did, and I think the 5 years you were there, you can probably count on one hand the number of days off you had. I mean, you really throw yourself into the job, don't you? I mean, you're just somebody who lives and breathes football. Yeah,
I haven't had a holiday the last 5.5 years, so I missed again now the time I would have had. But yeah, I think you only live once, and if you have a job and you love what you do, it's very different. I don't see that really as work. I see it more like it's the nicest thing you can do. I think, you know, it's something I really believe in. If you have the opportunity to work in something you love, which is football, you know, if I would not do what I'm doing, I would be still somehow play for an old man's team, but I would be always involved. So I think we just have to be very thankful, players and everybody who works in football clubs, that we have the opportunity, in the end of the day, be making our hobby and our passion to our job. So, you know, when I wake up in the morning, first I have to do my hair, of course, but afterwards, the first thing I do is to actually reflect and say thank you that I'm able to work in professional football.
Listen, last couple of questions, and just looking a bit more into the role. Recruitment is obviously going to be a big part of it. Recruiting players is not easy. It's not an exact science. So, and you've had a lot of success in the past. So when recruiting players, what do you look for in a player? I mean, how do you become successful at recruitment?
So I think the most important thing is that it's not always the best player who is the best fitting player. And that happens a lot, that you're looking at individual profiles within a team, and you have 11 great players individually in that team. But do they really fit together? Do the one complement the other player to get the best out of each other? I think that is the most important thing. And I personally recruit a lot. I mean, you know, data these days helps you a lot to really decide what is out there on the market. I think data is the best thing to also cut down the numbers. But when it comes down to the top 3, top 4, when you get all your data impact, when you know exactly that's the players I'm looking at, that's the players who hit all the KPIs, who have exactly the profile I'm looking at, I think then it becomes more interesting, because for me, the personality, the behavior, the way a guy is off the field is just as important as being on the field. So the character plays a massive role. And I think that was always where I looked at that. I mean, there is thousands and thousands of good footballers out there, but you know, I want to have good human beings in my team. I want to have a certain code of conduct. I want to have a good behavior, and I think values is extremely important. If you have 25 guys in a squad who know exactly what they're working for together, and they have a certain character together as a unit, and you go out there and you try your best, and you go out there and you fight till the last moment, nobody will be angry with you, and everybody will appreciate that. But if you have like 5 guys dancing around who think they're better than the rest, and maybe they are a little bit better football-wise, but they don't fit in this unit, I don't think anybody has a benefit from that. So I think that's, for me, that scouting part, to talk to parents, to talk to friends, to, you know, look at the education, look at the way they're behaving off the field. And I'm not talking about the guys who going out drinking and partying. I mean, that's more in the old age, I would say, because players don't really do that anymore. It's more about the social behavior, and I think that's a very important part there, to find the right players. I think players should reflect the community where you are. So I think being here in Scotland, I think it's very important that you have guys who are modest, who are down to earth, who are willing to fight, who are willing to work and get on with it. So having somebody here who thinks he's better than sliced bread and doesn't care about anybody else, just about himself, I don't think that's the place where he wants to be.
But that's where your global network of friends, you know, of scouts and things comes in place, because you can phone somebody up, can't you, and find out exactly about the player, and get their background. So that's what's key. Yeah. I
mean, I used to sit in hotel lobbies to watch players, how they behave when they're walking, coming off the bus, when they, you know, going to eat, when they talking to other people, just to get a feeling who they are. I mean, you see lots of guys with the big earphones on, don't say a word. You know, that's okay sometimes before a game, to focus, to concentrate, but it shouldn't be 20 hours a day. And little things like that I really focus on. And I think that's where recruitment is not just looking at the player, it's also looking at the person. But then again, we don't want to have 11 nice guys. We also need to have 11 good footballers who fit together.
As I say, it is a global game, but how important is it that we have more of our homegrown players coming through from the youth academy? I mean, obviously at the moment we've got Dylan Loban and Jack Milne who've both come through, and it gives the team an identity, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's that's always really up to the ownership of the club. How do they see that? And I think it's very, very clear that Aberdeen wants to focus and wants to invest a lot into the academy, into the local players. As I said, there is a lot of talent up here. There is a lot of good things you can build within the academy, and there is players already now in the setup which have good opportunities here in the future. So I think that must be a very big focus, to have homegrown players, to have Aberdeen-born players, to have players from that region here involved, because what you do, you create an excitement, you create more fans, you create a unit. And if you go back, I know time never stands still, but if you go back into the 80s and you're looking into the big success story of Aberdeen in the past, how many people were here from that region, and how they worked together, and how important it was for the players by then to have that badge on your chest. And I think that's something, that pride is something we already have to work on within the academy, to make every single person who wears their jersey be proud about, be happy about, to look forward and have that dream. One day I will play in the stadium, and one day I will represent the club at the first team, and one day, I maybe will play for Scotland, but I represent Aberdeen.
Can I ask you about style of football? What are your football values that you stand for? How do you want to see the game played?
Coming from the Hoffenheim school, where Ralf Rangnick was the first guy coming in, who also is the father of the Red Bull football. I think the pressing and counter-pressing, the extremely high-intense play, I think is super important. I think it fits very well into the Scottish football, but you need to be physical, you need to be strong, you need to be able to run. So I think getting into a very, very good way of having good transitions defensively and offensively, that's how I see the football. But again, that only can be played if I'm disciplined, if I'm hardworking, if I'm modest, and if I always know the team, the unit stands over everything. And if you are a team who likes to press, if 9 guys pressing and 2 waving to their girlfriend in the stands, it won't work. That's it. It is, everybody needs to be involved. That's a simple way of looking at things, and it only can work out if 11 guys on the field and the guys who are coming in off the bench know exactly what to do and going exactly in the right direction. I think for me that's the most exciting football to watch, to have that high intensity, have that high pressure, have that high backline, where if I see it in a way, if teams coming to Aberdeen, they should be scared. They should be kind of feeling the pressure walking on that field, because they know in the moment the guy's blowing the whistle, everybody's having a go at you and they're trying to chase you. So the chasing and hunting, especially at home games, looking for that, or sending a message early on, being proactive, defend on the front foot, don't drop too deep. Everything based a lot on aggression and attitude. That's how I like my football to be played.
The relationship between a sporting director and the manager is obviously key in any football club. What conversations you had with Jimmy? And tell us a wee bit, what's your role with him? how do you support the manager?
Obviously a lot of conversations, I will watch lots of training sessions, so we will have every day meetings, every day talking to each other on the phone, but also, of course, face to face, because our offices are not too far from each other as well. Just a constant exchange of information, of feelings, of vibes you pick up. Sometimes you pick up things not just on the training field. You hear it in the changing room, or you hear it when you sit down and eat or whatever. So a lot of conversations. In the end of the day, I'm there to support the manager. He's the guy. Him and his staff are the ones who pick in the first 11. That's the guys who picking the formation and picking the way we're going to play on the weekend. Very, very clear. But I'm always there to help. I'm always there to give my input, tell him what I see. But in the end of the day, I see myself as a helping tool. What's happening on the field. My role is more, of course, off the field, or exclusively off the field, to work on the strategic things. But as we said, signing players, we need to have a clear approach together, and looking at players together with the recruitment team and find the most fitting guys, and then we do that together.
Just summing up, just quickly, goals, short term and long term. So what's your immediate concerns at the moment, and maybe what's the sort of longer term aims?
I mean, on the short term, I think we need to be very honest. I think I watched now, didn't sleep very well the last 2 weeks. Moving over from America was not that easy, so I had a lot of time in the middle of the night to watch and rewatch games. So I watched, I think, probably every game of the last 15 twice. And we need to be honest, the start was not good. I think that's not a secret, and there was the results should have been better, and we should have had more points. That's the expectations, and I think everybody is aware of that. So in the short term, I think give Jimmy the trust, give Jimmy the belief that the team has very good basics, and some of the games we should have won. So really work into January to get the things together, to pick up as many points as possible, and then obviously for January to maybe add some fresh blood. I think there is a few positions where we have to be better, where we can be better, and if the expectations is again to get closer to the European places, then we have to do that. And then I think the transfer window 2026 in the summer is another big one, which will actually kind of give us a clear indication where we will be and want to be in the next few years. So that's for me like more or less the short term. And I think in the long term, the strategy, you mentioned many things. I mean, to work a lot on the academy football and to give youngsters opportunities, to throw youngsters into the first 11 or on for a few minutes, and just create an identity, a playing style, a playing philosophy where everybody knows this is how Aberdeen Football Club wants to play. This is what we stand for, and that playing philosophy, that playing style, let's call it a DNA. It doesn't just start with the first team. Actually, it starts with the academy teams, and it goes through all the way into the first team. So I do like to have that all the teams playing a very similar football. All the teams plays exactly after the values we discussed, because it makes it so much easier to integrate players from different age groups into the higher age groups, and having that very clear pathway where we want to be. I mean, that must be the long-term goal. In the end of the day, people in Aberdeen want to see silverware. You know better than I do. So the expectations are there. And, annoying Rangers and Celtic, I think is a beautiful thing as well. I think that's what people like to do here in the Northeast. So I think that must be something on the shorter term. And then really just try to get as much as possible out and really make the club into something special.
Well, it's just from your interview process you came through, you obviously conversations you had with the chairman. Just talk a wee bit about that and the ambitions. Are we impressed with the ambitions that he has for the club?
Yeah, it was a process. So there was I think very detailed. I mean, I had my interview. I think there was a few other candidates who made it into the final 3 or 4 who had their interviews. I'm very happy and excited that I got chosen in the end of the day. I had some opportunities also to sign for other clubs in mostly in Germany, but for me Aberdeen was clearly the priority, because somehow I had a feeling that's the place where I want to be, where I have to be. And so talking to the German and see how how devoted he is to this club, how passionate he is about this club was amazing. I think that the plans he had and he has are wonderful, and I believe that working not just for the chairman but also for the board, which have a very, very similar view on things like I do, where it was very clear early on that we exactly like hitting here the top of the nail and going exactly in the same direction was one of the things which made me really attracted to this job here.
The chairman's very passionate and he's very positive, but just from sitting speaking to you, I sense that's attributes that you have as well. You're a very, very positive person.
Yeah, they always.
It's not always easy in football, Lutz, is it?
Well, yeah, I mean, they always say Germans are the most miserable people in the world, which well, looking at some of them, they're probably right, but...
There's a few Scottish people could give a run for the money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Bavaria, so we in general are a little bit more happy than the rest of us, I would say. So, I mean, I'm positive. I definitely, I think having some positive emotions and enjoying what you're doing is very important. I think that's the same counts for the manager, because I think that's what you reflect on to the players. If you're coming in the morning into Cormac Park and you see people there with a smile on their face, that's how you're actually going to work. If everybody's running around and grumbling and being grumpy, then that's the way you train. So I think that's important to actually live that as an example, as a role model, to be positive, to be emotional in a positive way, to I would say to be on the front foot, to be hardworking. I think that's what you also see with the manager, that Jimmy does a really good job talking to the players, like in a very Scandinavian way, like he's much calmer from a demeanor like I am. So I think that also the yin-yang, I think that could work really well as well.
What are the similarities between Bavaria and Scotland in football terms and culturally? Is there any?
Culturally, we both have a funny accent. I love the Scottish accent. It's kind of, it just sounds kind of adorable, like very similar. Like they always tell me I sound like Schwarzenegger because I'm right from the Austrian borderline. So I think the accents are very, very cool. Again, I believe that community and having a good understanding between the people is there. I think looking the way people talking in London to each other, you don't even know your neighbour. I think in Aberdeen, the neighbours are nice to each other. They talk to each other, they care for each other. That's the same as in Bavaria. And again, Bavarians sometimes count, same as Scots, a little bit grumpy. So that also fits very well. No, I think it's a similar region, even though where I'm from is very much the southeast, and you are very much the northeast. I think it's a very similar kind of culture. Football-wise, I would say it's you can't really compare it. I think the way football in England and in Scotland is played is different. It's more physical. It has just, you just feel so much of the tradition and the way players are made here is kind of very unique. So for me, always the Scottish player is always a player you don't enjoy playing against, because he grinds you off the field, he works you off the field, and if he has to, he tackles you off the field. But there is also some other Scottish players like Ryan Gould, MLS player. Phew, what a player. I mean, I think he's even born in Aberdeen. And, everybody talks about Messi, and of course Messi is Messi, you can't touch him. But if Ryan Gould, who was unfortunately injured this season, but when he's having his stay in Vancouver, like an unbelievable technical player, or maybe one day he comes back to Scotland.
Final question, the fans. We must mention the fans, the most important people. What have you made of the fans so far? What you've seen, and what message would you have to them?
Yeah, the games I watched, I was lucky so far. Every time I was here, Aberdeen always won. 2-0 against Frankfurt. Was it 4-0 against Dundee? So it was like pretty impressive both games. So I keep it up, winning every home game with a clean sheet. I think I would take it for the rest of the season. So yeah, fans are very passionate, friendly. I think you do see the movement that obviously there is a lot of quick disappointment, which changes within seconds into being super excited and being super happy. So I like that emotion, and I think the fans are, in the end of the day, probably the most important part, because I think players and staff needs to be also aware that the wages are paid partly by the fans showing up. So I think that passion, that support, something you always really need to appreciate, and having fans like here who are always there and support the team regardless. I think it's something great to see. There is definitely a massive support, and I'm really looking forward to get to know the fans. I mean, I already saw a few running around yesterday in town. So yeah, I think it will be a very unique relationship between me and the fans.
Did anybody recognise you yet?
They did, yeah. There was a few guys who said welcome. One said cut your hair, which actually I did. But it doesn't get much shorter than that. And yeah, I like the banter, you know. I mean, I like it myself, so I say sometimes things I shouldn't say, or which are a little bit on the edge. And I think that's pretty much a part of the culture here as well. So will be entertaining.
It will be. I look forward to many more of these interviews as well. But Lutz, welcome again to Aberdeen, and we wish you all the very best during your stay. I know you've got a very busy day ahead, so thank you very much for taking time to speak to us.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Cheers.
Good luck.
Thank you.